Okay, so the Xbox Series X and S, which is very awkward to say, and the worst thing about the consoles, like, how can I just say the Xbox Series X? No, because there's two different consoles launching. But whatever, the Xbox Series, I guess I would call it, is launching. Whatever you want to call the new thing, it's coming out today, and odds are you either already had one on order or you won't be getting one. And I've even seen news articles that they're not going to be sold in stores right now to try to avoid lineups during all the pandemic situations and things like that. So you will be buying online if you want to get one at all. And again, good luck fighting for stock and all of that. And that's not the point of this video. The main reason I'm making this video is that I've thought a lot about this, and this is the first time a new Xbox has come out. And I have no plans on buying one now or in the future, like at all. I had an original Xbox, which I'd love to call an Xbox One, but apparently I can't anymore. Then I also had an Xbox 360, and I had an Xbox One. God, the Xbox, like Microsoft, get your naming together, guys. Like, can't be that hard to name things. By the way, if you're wondering what the heck is playing behind me, I'm just, for visuals while I talk at you, playing the Xbox, it's actually a YouTube video I could link here. It's the official Xbox Game Showcase full show. Anyway, I'll have the link to that in the description. Anyway, the point is, I want to talk to you guys about why I'm not going to make any attempt to buy this thing, even though I think it's really actually a great console, and Microsoft is doing a lot of things right. And for me, the main reason is, I'm a PC gamer, and I have a pretty decent gaming PC, and I'm planning to continue upgrading it. And that's the number one reason why I will not be buying this. So let's get into some of those details. Okay, so first of all, Microsoft made a decision a while back to make all of their new exclusive first-party titles also come to PC, which I think is awesome. I think it's great that they're doing that. And I'm definitely taking advantage of that fact. And I have some videos that you could watch about my thoughts on the Xbox Game Pass for PC. I think it's an amazing value. But again, that means, is there really a reason why a PC gamer would want to buy a new Xbox? Well, I think there still are some reasons why you might want to consider it. Partially depending on games. And wait, did I just say all the games are coming to PC? Well, yes, the new Microsoft exclusives. But one of the main things that the Xbox does offer that's very interesting is excellent backwards compatibility. So the backwards compatibility of the Xbox Series X goes all the way back to the original Xbox, whereas if I wanted to play some original Xbox games on my PC, I can't necessarily do that. So that's one of the biggest things as far as why a PC gamer might still want to get one of these. It's for that backwards compatible library of games that you're just not going to have access to completely on the PC, even though they are bringing a lot of their main ones, like all of the Halo franchise, to PC. It doesn't look like we're going to get every single Xbox game ever onto the PC. And the nice thing that Microsoft has done is allowed the new hardware to really upgrade the visual quality of those games. And I think that's awesome. Like I said, I think Microsoft is doing a lot right with this. Now, another thing I want us to talk about is if you don't have a really, really high-end gaming PC right now, it might make sense for you to buy one of these. Think about the value proposition. So I've been looking into the hardware details, and I know you could find other videos and other people who know more about all the various little tiny details, but I think I've got a pretty good handle on the basic summary of the hardware specs and putting it in terms of a PC gamer. Okay, so basically, it has an AMD Zen 2 processor, not the new Zen 3, not the Ryzen 5000 series ones that we just got launched, but it does have an 8-core, 16-thread Zen 2 processor that is roughly equivalent to a 3700X from the Ryzen 3000 series lineup. And that's a fantastic processor. And sure, the Zen 3 offers better IPC counts and single-thread performance, better top-end gaming performance. But in reality, in gaming, especially if you want to play this on like a 4K TV or something like that, you're generally GPU bound anyway. So the amount of performance difference you'd see on that, plus the fact that console games get to become better optimized for the console rather than playing it on the PC, means that that's a very strong processor. And now let's talk about the GPU. So this is where they're really using AMD's next-gen technology. So this is going to be the first place that you can play on an AMD RDNA 2 based GPU. Based on their, this is a lot like their RX 6800. And looking at the specs, it does look basically like an RX 6800 to me. That's just a little bit more cut down. So it's not as good as an RX 6800, but it's not completely out of that ballpark. And keep in mind that an RX 6800 is going to list at $579, which is $80 more than buying the entire Series X console. Not to mention the fact that you could get a Series X console bundled with a Game Pass Ultimate subscription, and it also gives you the Xbox Live, and that'll give you your PC Game Pass stuff too, and all of that for a monthly fee for a couple of years. And you could buy this thing on a monthly subscription, which is a lot easier to get into. So from a value perspective, think about you getting yourself a $500-ish graphics card value and a $300-ish CPU value thrown in here, along with a 1 terabyte SSD that offers some very, very fast performance and some very interesting features that haven't fully come to PC yet. And even if you do want to take advantage of them on PC, they're going to need support from games, and you're going to need some newer hardware to do it. And what I mean by that is the direct storage idea. The idea that you can load some of the features that would normally be done on a CPU directly into the GPU. A lot of times this can help with decompression being done very quickly and easily directly by the GPU rather than being fed by the CPU first. And again, there's other people who understand the details of exactly how that technology works better than me, but what I understand is it's going to reduce the load on the CPU shifted over to the GPU and offer some better performance. And that both AMD and NVIDIA are offering similar options on PC, but that's not currently supported and out there actually functioning on current hardware and in games right now on a widespread basis, whereas we are seeing consoles launching with that support. Now, that allows it to do some cool things that a PC can't. For example, quick resuming of games. So my understanding of this technology is that you could be playing, maybe you're in the middle of 5 different games on your console, right? And you like to play one and then switch to another and switch to another. Well, on a PC, if you do that, you have to close out the entire game and then load up the next one. And you're going to go through your loading menu, start up, load your game, blah, 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 blah. It's going to take some time to switch between these. Whereas on the Series X, you're going to be able to quick resume the game. And what that basically does is it saves the entire game state on your SSD. And then because the SSD offers such a quick performance, it can basically then just instantly load up the game back into RAM off the SSD as if you had just paused the game and were unpausing it. Now, I've seen in reviews, some early reviews saying that this doesn't always work perfectly. So there could be a few bugs with it being supported in certain games, but overall it looks like it does work very, very smoothly the vast majority of the time. And that feels like a very next-gen feature that PC doesn't currently support doing, and who knows if it ever will, because on consoles, that's one of the main advantages you're getting is that optimization, that people can really take advantage of what the system offers. Games can know for sure that you have a PC, right? Your PC isn't necessarily going to have the SSD to support that kind of a thing, whereas on a console, designing for this particular console, they know you're going to have that. They know you'll have that ability, so the game can program it in and take advantage of that. And they're not always going to do that for the PC versions of things, right? So there are some reasons, like I said, why a PC gamer might want to consider buying this console. But for me, as somebody who's already played the original Xbox games and the 360 games and the Xbox One games that I wanted to play, because I owned those consoles, I'm not the kind of gamer with enough free time to go back and replay a bunch of old games that I've already played before when there's a million new games coming out that I already want to play and don't have enough time for, right? So for me, that backwards compatibility isn't enough of a pull. And while things like this quick resuming are very interesting to me, it's just not something that I need. And it's not going to be a reason to spend $500 on a console. Now, if I had a weak gaming PC right now, or if I was actually just somebody who didn't have a gaming PC and was deciding, should I go into a console gaming market or should I go into the PC gaming market, and budget was at all a constraint, I just don't think you can build something that's going to have anywhere near the kind of performance you're going to be getting out of this thing, or with anywhere near the type of future proofing of being able to play games at good settings for a long period of time for anywhere near $500. Like I said, you're getting a GPU that's roughly a $500 value, along with a $300-ish value CPU, and you're getting that 1 terabyte fast SSD. And then I didn't even talk about the RAM. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM, but that RAM is VRAM. It's using VRAM throughout the entire system, which makes that incredibly quick, although that is split up into like a 10 gigabyte section that offers a higher speed. I think I wrote in my notes, 560 gigabytes per second for 10 gigabytes of that 16 gigabytes. And then you also have a 3.5 gigabyte section that offers it reduced down to, I think, 336 gigabytes per second. So it's not quite as simple as just 16 gigabytes of incredibly fast VRAM, but that is something to take into account. You're getting the RAM included in the price of this $500 system. So it really offers a lot. I've also seen in reviews that it runs very, very quietly. The cooling solution works very well. And like I said, if you throw in that Game Pass Ultimate subscription and maybe even do the whole subscription model on the console, you're getting access to a bunch of games. There's a huge value here. So for somebody who is budget constrained right now and doesn't have a great current system, I think this could make a lot of sense for a PC gamer as maybe a holdover until you can afford to upgrade your PC, or until PCs, because here's the thing about PCs, you're always going to get eventually better parts for a cheaper price to where you can build a PC for the same, or for the same performance at the same price, or even eventually better performance for the same price. Or again, the nice thing about PC is you can pay more to get better performance, that type of a thing. So if you want to hold out and do that, well, maybe grabbing one of these for $500 right now, especially while like the new GPUs, you probably aren't even going to be able to find them right now if you're thinking about your PC build. Picking up one of these would be a great idea. Again, other than the issue that if you haven't already pre-ordered one, you probably aren't going to get one of these anytime soon. We'll see though. We can always hope. Anyway, so what I would consider then though is, would it then just make sense to buy a different console as a PC gamer? Because that's where I'm at. So I usually do also own gaming consoles. And in the past, I've usually owned all of them. Eventually, I don't buy them all at once, but I usually eventually, when exclusive games come out that I want to play, I usually get the newer consoles. So this will be the first time around where I'm really just not tempted to get the Xbox console. I think instead, I'll probably get a PS5 when there's some exclusives that I want to play that don't look like they're going to come to PC. Although I'm interested if Sony exclusives will start coming to PC, because we have seen things like Horizon Zero Dawn actually make that transition now. And it'd be very interesting to me if they start making that a standard feature. Then once again, there might not be a reason for me to buy a PS5. Now, the Nintendo Switch that I already have, Nintendo's a really interesting option for a PC gamer, because that's offering you an entirely different experience. You can treat it as a handheld. I'm not bringing my gaming PC around with me, right? And I'd love to see Nintendo do a refresh of their Switch model, and there's some rumors that that should be happening sometime soon, but we've seen rumors of that for a while now, so we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. Is it makes a little more sense, at least in my situation, with a pretty good gaming PC that I'm also planning on upgrading again soon, and budget's not a huge restraint on that, to maybe get the PS5, maybe look at a Nintendo refresh, maybe both of those. Because in the end, isn't gaming about the games? And if I can play these games on my PC, then why would I need this? And I do actually have some other thoughts about why would you maybe need that. Well, maybe your maybe you have a house with several rooms in it, right? And you want to have a gaming system that can be on your TV, which might not be located near your PC. And while there's ways to stream that there, run long cable runs and make that work, or have multiple PCs, things like that, it could be simpler just to have a console over there, right? And why would it make sense to maybe get an Xbox instead of a PlayStation or something? Well, if you share that Game Pass Ultimate, right? The Game Pass Ultimate subscription, I believe that's getting you the Xbox Game Pass as well as the PC version of Game Pass, as well as your Android cloud streaming, which I have a review of, and personally the latency was too high for a lot of games, but certain turn-based things, like I think Gears Tactics is coming to that, and that might function well on there actually. That's a whole other note. But the point is, it might make sense to bundle the value of that Game Pass Ultimate subscription so that your console game and your PC are both getting tons of games out of that same $15 a month if you're doing that Ultimate version. So that's another situation where it could make sense. If you want separate gaming rooms, or another situation could be like me, sometimes my kids want to use our TV or games. Sometimes my wife even plays games, not that often, but she likes Dragon Age, and there's a Dragon Age coming out soon. If she wants to play that at the same time as I want to play a game, and we don't want to play a game together, multiplayer, right? We want to play our own single player stuff or whatever, then I might want to be using my PC simultaneously to somebody else using the Xbox. So again, there are situations why it could make sense. But overall, if you're just in a situation like me and you're just focused on your own self, if there's not backwards compatible games that you're super interested in that you haven't already played, and you have a good gaming setup on your PC already, and none of those other situations I mentioned are really a big factor for you, I don't see this as being a very compelling option. What do you guys think? Are you interested in getting an Xbox even if you already have a decent gaming PC? Are you more interested in the PS5 and the Switch? Are you just exclusively into PC games? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about all of this in the comment section. And as always, I hope you guys have an excellent day.